From the Studio 13 Studios in Splendora, Texas, Hank's Think Tank is brought to you by Splendora Cafe and Barbecue.
Quiet on set. Picture is up. All right, roll sound.
Rolling.
Roll cameras.
Cams rolling.
And 3, 2.
Work for me. All right. What was your name again?
Hart Mogenstein.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Hart Mogenstein. All right. Y'all ready?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And we'll be good in 5, 4, 3, 1, 2.
You're not supposed to count the last part because then people hear it.
Oh,
Start
okay.
over.
All right. We'll be good in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hey, everybody. What's going on? And welcome to Hank's Think Tank. Got a great show for you here today. It is the weekend, so I'm happy. But it's hot, man. I mean, it's hot. And we've gone like 44 days without rain, so we need to break that cycle. If you're watching this video, pause it for a second, put on some shorts, go outside and do a rain dance for us, because we got to have some rain soon.
I'm going to handle this myself. I'm going to go wash my car later today, so brace yourself for the rainstorm, okay? Because every time it happens.
Yeah, you need to get a better car, by the way, but that's another conversation.
You wish you could have a car like that.
I got Mark Hogan on my left.
Howdy,
He's in
everybody.
with us today. Mark, how's it going, man?
Going good.
Good to have you.
We're doing this in the middle of the night. It's about 9 a.m. on a Sunday morning.
It feels that way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right, so today I've got a candidate who's running for Montgomery County Sheriff, and it's Wesley Doolittle. He's a good guy. He has been a resident of Montgomery County his entire life, and I think he's got a really strong platform, and I'm interested in what he has to say, and you should be too. You know, our job here as voters is to be as educated as possible, and so that's what we're going to try to do through this short video. And I just welcome you aboard. It's good to have you with us today, man. How's it going?
It's going pretty good. Thank
Yeah.
y'all for having me this
Thank you
morning.
for coming out.
No problem.
We appreciate it.
Yes,
How's
sir.
the race going?
Oh, it's a latent thing. You don't get to see the results until probably March.
Yeah, I know. It's
March
kind of
5th.
weird because you never know. You know, you try to gauge it, but you really can't tell. I understand. I do.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay, so Montgomery County Sheriff, it's a big position. There's a lot going on, a lot of moving parts, tremendous budget. What made you decide to run for sheriff?
Well, that's a complex question, right? There's lots of reasons why I might want to run for Montgomery County Sheriff and the reasons I am running for Montgomery County Sheriff. First off, I'm a people person. I love this community. Like I said, I grew up here, and I've had a long, distinguished career in the trenches working major crimes in Montgomery County, Harris County, and pretty much all over Texas on the south to southeast and down on the border and things like that.
Well, you've got quite an impressive resume in law enforcement, being a retired Texas Ranger, and
Yes, sir. Thank you.
among other things.
I live in Montgomery. I live in Montgomery County. I plan to stay here. I don't plan to ever leave this county. I feel that I have a sense of duty to run for office, to do the right thing, to have integrity, humility, and to bring a great deal of experience to the Sheriff's Department that I've gathered over my career. You know, a 23-year career. I worked in the Highway Patrol. I was a narcotics agent working on the Texas-Mexico border. I worked as a Texas Ranger for 13 years, and I'm now working for the Precinct 1 Constable's office as a captain for Constable Philip Cash. So I've visited with the community here, with community leaders, with past sheriffs, with sheriff deputies, with other folks that have a stake or interest in the Sheriff's Department here. And after listening to the community and really just kind of getting in tune with what's going on in Montgomery County, I decided to run for Montgomery County Sheriff.
Right. You know, I feel like, and maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like the Sheriff's Department is like the nucleus of law enforcement in Montgomery County, because it's our 911 call center.
Yes, sir.
It's where most of the municipalities and smaller agencies get their information from and deal with. So, I mean, without the Sheriff's Department running smoothly, and running the right way, we can have a real problem out here. And so I'm glad that there's a healthy race. I'm glad there's good candidates in the race. And, your career has been pretty impressive, actually. And I've always been curious, how does one get into the Texas Rangers? What's the process of that?
There's you have to have 8 years of experience. 4 that has to be with the Department of Public Safety.
Okay, DPS.
Yeah, they come out of the DPS.
I didn't know that. Okay,
Yeah.
well, see, you learn something new every day. I thought you could just be a policeman and maybe apply or whatever, or maybe do you apply for it, or?
A long time ago, they used to appoint folks to it, but in today's times, you have to work for the department for at least 4 years and have 8 years of experience total before you apply. Be of good moral character, have good integrity, be someone who is a self-starter, somebody that takes their job seriously, somebody that's demonstrated the ability to be effective in their job. One of our old Ranger chiefs used to say, the guys that we select are already Rangers, are just not in the division yet.
I like it, yeah.
Yes,
That's
sir.
cool. Yeah, so you kind of got to be one of the elite.
Well, it is the elite, isn't it?
Yeah.
Arguably, the Texas Rangers are the most elite law enforcement organization in the world. They're known all over the world.
Yeah.
More especially here in Texas, where this is the 200th anniversary of the Texas Rangers, and they're having their bicentennial celebrations this year. So Texas Rangers have been protecting the citizens of Texas for 200 years now.
Wow. Correct me if I'm wrong, but weren't they kind of faded out in the 1920s and brought back by Ma Ferguson to employ Frank Hammer to look for Bonnie and Clyde? Back in the gangster days and the rum running and all that kind of. So she brought the Rangers back, didn't she?
I think the Texas Rangers are probably some of the best fugitive hunters or fugitive investigators around.
Mm-hmm.
I've worked with the Gulf Coast Violent Offenders Task Force, City of Houston, Harris County Sheriff's Department, and many other agencies all across southeast Texas to hunt fugitives, people that have done homicides, sexual assaults, kidnappings, and things like that have made a huge impact in our community, to find them people and bring them to justice. I drove out to San Diego, California one time on a homicide out at Brookshire, Texas, and went out there and talked to a guy, and I didn't bring him back with me that day, but got a confession back with me, and they extradited him back to Texas.
Mm-hmm.
So
you can run, but you can't hide.
Yes, sir.
That's it. So that's great. So it sounds like you have a lot of experience in that end. Now, I know that the Sheriff's Department has either over 1,000 or just had 1,000 employees. So what kind of managerial experience do you have that you could bring to the table?
Right. People manage things, Hank. Mm-hmm. When I think about being an elected official and leading the Sheriff's Department, I think about leadership. I think about your ability to bring people together, to bring agencies together, and to work with other agencies, just as I've done successfully for the last 23 years, by knowing who the folks are in your community, being honest, genuine with them, answering their call when they call you, and really spending a lot of time on relationship building and having that influence over each other, where you can help when things are bad. When times are tough, that's when we're calling on our community partners, is when things often are not going well. That something's happened and we're reaching out to Splendora, Constable Hayden's office, mm-hmm. or, Roman Forest or Patton Village, or any of the other agencies that operate here within Montgomery County, to further those partnerships toward a goal to fix something. And you can manage things, but you have to lead people. And when I think about that, that's what I'm looking forward to, is the ability to lead the Sheriff's Department.
Okay. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I like that a lot.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we're experiencing a tremendous amount of growth in the county. I don't know what the numbers actually are, because it seems to be a moving target. So and we have a jail now that's 1,253 beds, I believe. So what about thinking toward the future? Would you be trying to implement some expansion on the size of the jail, on the scope, budgetary considerations, stuff like that? Just what are your ideas and thoughts on how the jail is being run, and what could you do to make it a little bit better?
A little bit better.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, Hank, that you need to continuously evaluate things to determine what your needs are, what your budget will allow you to do, and what the needs of the community are. I've heard from some of the bail bonding companies and things like that, they're not able to process people out as quickly as they'd like to.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's probably some room for improvement there. I also think that we need to continuously evaluate our population, and as it grows, we're going to have to consider that and have room for those folks in the jail that are arrested, and to make sure that we're not overcrowding.
And by the same token, you've got more people to take care of and protect and serve too,
Absolutely.
Yeah, because that jail's like a small city, really.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because you're having to feed people and take care of them. There's medical. There's all sorts of stuff involved. So it's a big, big, big project. I wonder how much of the sheriff's department, how many individuals are used just to manage the jail. Do you know? Would you happen to have a figure on that? I'm just curious.
I don't know exactly what it is. It's probably about 50% of the force. It's a huge responsibility for any sheriff, is to manage the jail and to keep the prisoners or the people who are arrested in the jail until they get a bond.
Wow.
Or see a judge.
Yeah. So that's a big, big deal. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
A huge responsibility.
Right.
My time in the Rangers, I worked violations of civil rights, questionable death investigations, and things like that inside the jails, and they're a huge liability for the county.
Sure.
So it's something that you have to stay on top of. You have to be attentive. You have to be prepared. I think you have to have one detention officer every 48 inmates on duty. And
wow, 1 to 48?
Yes, sir.
Dang. That seems
Right.
seems like a low number to me. I mean, I don't know anything about managing a jail, but that sure seems like a low number.
Yeah, it's you're just watching, supervising.
But I guess if it's a controlled environment, it shouldn't be that hard.
Well,
to
those
do.
48 inmates might be 4 groups of 12 housed in a secure location. They don't all come out at one time.
Right.
They're not all just running around and
crazy.
Right.
Yeah.
So jail's a huge responsibility for the sheriff.
Okay. Now I think we have a little over 500 officers that are on duty that are street cops, I guess you could call them. Do you think that's going to be a sufficient number moving forward, or is that something you'd like to see expand as well?
In evaluating the current administration and what they've said, they're woefully understaffed.
Okay.
We need more commissioned officers on the streets to answer calls.
Mm-hmm.
Have you found the response time has increased? It takes longer for help to get on a call.
I hear that from a lot of people, Mark, that they're not getting the services that they're requesting when they're calling 911 or calling the sheriff's department, that they're not getting a quick response. So that's something that does need to be evaluated to see if we're keeping up with the call load.
Okay. All right. So one thing that's kind of close to me, my wife serves on the ESD7 board, has for about 10 years.
Yes, sir.
And I don't know if it was just recent, but I think it's been within the past couple of years that the radio channels have all been encrypted. And so when the ESD is in a situation where they need to communicate with the sheriff's department, they're unable to do that. They're unable to hear the crosstalk and what's going on. And so they're unable to get information that's in real time, on the ground, what's going on. And what I automatically think of is if there's a school shooting or something, these guys get called out because they do medical calls. How do they know, or how could they find out if they're going into a hot zone, if something's still active there or not, if they can't communicate? And what are your thoughts on radio encryption on those primary channels, and what do you think can be done to resolve that? I know that the present administration thinks that that's all back to officer safety because you don't want the crooks listening to a scanner and knowing what's going on.
Ambushing.
And I can get that, but that seems a little bit more Hollywoodish to me than Montgomery County, So what do you think about encryption and what can be done to help, like the ESDs and the other establishments that just aren't able to communicate anymore?
Well, I think that we learned during 9/11 that communication is paramount.
Oh yeah.
That even in small environments, without communication, it's hard to complete your task. It's hard to complete your goals. We talk about that a lot. I think there's probably a lot of books written about communication and how to improve communication. Just as we're talking here, we're communicating verbally and non-verbally.
Well,
Ryan?
it's the exchange of information, and in an emergency situation, you've got to be quick about that.
Yes, sir.
You know, any delay could cost lives, especially like a school shooting or a flood or anything that would come up like that.
Yeah, I think it's pretty important for. I don't know. I would think that there would at least be one channel, a back channel or something that's non-encrypted that everybody could communicate on, but that doesn't exist. At least that's what I'm being told by the ESDs.
Right, and I'm hearing the same thing, Hank, that the community wants to know what's going on. They want to be able to hear the main channels. They want to know if there's a wreck, a shooting, a robbery. I was speaking with one of the guys at Humboldt the other day, and they aired a attempt to locate on a vehicle that was involved in an incident there, and a record driver spotted that vehicle and helped. That information led to the capture of that person. So if the community can hear what's going on the main channels, and they can be given information, you may have more eyes on the streets. You may have people that are calling in. I think when we put out press releases, we're always asking for help.
Right.
We're always asking for the public. If you see something, say something.
Is there a tip line for the people to report things?
Yes, sir. There's Montgomery County Crime Stoppers or Tri-County Crime Stoppers is something that people can report things to. But more importantly, when I was working as a policeman, and as I still do today, serve with the constable's office, that we need to be able to communicate. We need to talk to our partner agencies. We need to talk to those who have stakeholders in the community that are our stakeholders in our community that need to hear information being transferred over the radio. So that's definitely something that I'd be willing to look at and address in the community and to listen to the community. There are times, I'm going to tell you, that during special operations and such, you do need an encrypted radio if you're doing warrants, surveillance.
But that's what
like
tactical
that.
channels are for.
They do, yes, sir.
Because, I mean, I used to listen to the scanner all the time for Houston Police Department.
Yes, sir.
And they would always transfer to TAC 1, TAC 2 or something like that. So, I mean, and those you couldn't find. You know, either couldn't find them or they're encrypted and you just get that brrrr, you know. So, yeah, I think that there should be tactical channels that are encrypted. But I think that as far as dispatch and stuff like that goes, that needs to be out, you know, out there where people can get to it. You know, especially the people that need to. You know, that's my idea. Anyway.
Well, I tend to agree with that.
Yeah. Okay.
To evaluate, see if it's doable, right, and to offer the community at least an answer.
Okay. Now, as far as the sheriff's department equipment goes, like vehicles and things like that, I am completely unaware as the condition of those. Is there a lot of older vehicles and older infrastructure and even equipment that the officers themselves have that should be upgraded, or is that something that we're looking at, or are they pretty well equipped at this point, and maybe we just need to keep up as technology moves forward?
Right. I think that as the budget is a big concern because police vehicles are expensive.
Oh, yeah.
You know, getting them through their service life, depending on where they're assigned and what's being done with them. You know, I think a detective or someone that's driving around not using a police vehicle for pursuit purposes can drive a little bit older vehicle and whatnot. Those are considerations that we have to work with our commissioner's court and with our purchasing and things like that. So we're getting the most life out of those vehicles that we can that benefits the community. We're not recklessly or not unintentionally spending money that we shouldn't be spending. I know folks will they want good equipment, right? We need to be operational so our upkeep doesn't cost more or benefit us more than the purchase of a new vehicle. So keeping the service life of that vehicle for as long as we can to where it does not become burdensome.
Right. Yeah, so better maintenance on what we have.
Yes, sir.
That's great. You know, it's a good way to spend the money where it's needed.
Yes, sir.
So that's great. So is there anything else that you'd like to talk about as far as concerns that you have about the Sheriff's Department or concerns that you have about the citizens of Montgomery County that you think your election would address?
Well, absolutely. Some of the things I think about, Hank, Mark, is just being involved in the community. The sheriff's an elected official, and that person needs to be involved in their community. They need to know the heartbeat of the community. They need to know the pulse of the community. They need to know the needs of the folks that they serve, the stakeholders in this community, and be ready to address those. I think that the sheriff is someone, it's not a job. It's not a Monday through Friday, 8 to 5,
Right.
punch a time clock, go home commitment.
Right.
The commitment of a sheriff is a lot like that of a ranger. You serve at the will of the people, and there's often times where bad things don't happen.
Between 8 and 5. Yeah.
We can't schedule bad things.
Yeah.
Right?
Nice if we could. Yeah,
So-
here it comes, everybody. Yeah.
Yes, sir. So
Well,
I think being involved in the community is something that I would address. Being there with my people, providing them the tools they need to do their job, providing the deputies everything they need to do their job, honoring them by being there with them when things are bad, for them to know that they're appreciated, for them to know that I will be there with you. I'm a very experienced policeman. I've seen lots of bad things in my career. I've seen where agencies have made mistakes. I've seen where they've made improvements. And I'd like to take that experience to the Sheriff's Department and work with our deputies, our jailers, our telecommunications operators, our ESDs, our towing companies, our bail bonding companies, those people that do business with Montgomery County every day, and then have an open door to be able to talk to them and hear their needs and be willing to address them, or at least give them an answer, to not shut them out. And I'll tell you, Hank, that I think that just my humility and my personality, I'm a people person. I love this community. I love visiting with people in this community. There's oftentimes you can find me at community events, doing things, visiting with people about what's going on in Montgomery County. And I feel that I'm in tune with some of the needs that they have. And I would like to have the ability, when elected, to change some of those things, to work more closely with the community.
Okay, fantastic. And you are a lifelong resident of Montgomery County, right? I mean, you were born in Splendora, right?
No, I wasn't born in Splendora. I moved to Splendora. Started school there in the 3rd grade.
3rd grade.
Yes, sir.
So you've been here your whole life?
Basically.
Anything before the 3rd grade doesn't
That's
count.
what I like, is he's just a hometown guy,
That's
and
it.
he knows everything
Yeah.
going on around here.
Yeah.
Seen it forever.
Right. I don't know that we've ever had a sheriff from East Montgomery County.
I don't think
I'm
we
excited
have.
about that.
Yeah, I don't think we have.
I
Yeah,
think
that's awesome.
Think that my family's been here for hundreds of years, and on my mom's side, lots of good people here that I grew up with, and I'm looking forward to serving them. I've seen an outpouring of support from them. I'm really looking forward to my East Montgomery County fundraiser here at Bull Solace Park on the 29th.
Okay.
Really
let's talk a little bit about that. So you've
Okay.
got a fundraiser. It's going to be at Bull Solace on the 29th of this month.
Yes, sir.
And what is it exactly?
It's basically a fundraiser for my campaign to generate funds for me to run with.
Okay.
But it's also a community event.
Okay.
Like I said, I'm a people person. I want to see our community at this event.
Okay.
I envision that when elected, I'll do something like this annually. I will do something where the everyday citizen in Montgomery County can come out and speak with their sheriff. They can come out, and I think we're charging $15 for a barbecue baked potato.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And
I like baked potatoes, man.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay.
We've got the
Sounds
Rusty Buckle Barbecue Company coming out.
Oh, is that who's?
Yes,
Yeah.
sir. Mr. Alan
There you
Roden.
go. Yeah.
Jesse Loving's going to play for us out there.
Really?
A little music.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And we'll have some great auction items and things like that. And this
Okay.
is my 3rd event. I had a huge community event over at the Montgomery County Fairgrounds just a little while back.
Okay.
I had lots of support from the current deputies that work at the Sheriff's Department, from the community that came out, business owners and things like that. And I'm looking forward to seeing what East Montgomery County has to hold for us. This event to me is dear to my heart, and I'm looking forward to it.
Okay.
Sounds like a fun time.
Yes,
Is there? Are you still taking auction items for your auction?
I am.
Okay, and how would they get a hold of you to bring that to you?
Okay, so I have a website. It's doolittleforsheriff.com.
Okay.
I also have a Facebook page. Please follow me, Wesley Doolittle for Sheriff 2024.
Okay.
My email is doolittleforsheriff@gmail.com.
Okay.
And we have an events at doolittleforsheriff.com that people can email or go onto my website and check it out and just fill out a little form and send it in. You can also purchase tickets there.
Okay.
I'd like to see y'all out there. I'd like to invite you guys to the
Oh yeah,
event.
yeah.
And
I want to go. Yeah.
come
And
out.
I've seen you at so many community events. I mean, you're like an old friend.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir.
So yeah.
Well, there's food, so I'll probably be there too.
Well, come on out. I'll tell you that I have done. This is my third big fundraiser.
Mhm.
I do love to go to these community events. I've taken the time to educate myself about different races in the community or elected officials, gone to their events to hear them talk, to visit with them about what their philosophies are here in Montgomery County and how they'll serve us. And I worked as a precinct chair also for the
Really?
Republican Party.
Okay, I didn't know that.
I did, and learned a lot. Served as an election judge,
Okay.
and it's pretty fun to serve as an election judge because you get to see everybody in the community coming through
I bet you
your
do.
polling site, and it's a good time. I'm really looking forward to spending more time in the community and visiting with folks as our race gets going. We have elections coming up in March. March 5th is election day, and 2 weeks before that'll be our early voting here. So you're talking about the support and how you see it.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be at the polls. I'll be there for 2 full weeks working the polls.
Okay.
I go to many community events here. I'm a life member of the Montgomery County Fair and Rodeo Association, a life member of the East Montgomery County Fair Association. I did a sponsorship for them this year, so I'm looking forward to being out at the community. So if y'all are at the East Montgomery County Fair, come on out and see me. I'll be walking around talking with folks, listening to them and what their needs are here in the community. So hopefully I can get that opportunity to address them.
Okay.
Awesome.
Fantastic. Well, I appreciate you coming on the show. This was great. And I knew it was going to be a good conversation. And I got to learn something again. That's one of the things I love about doing this thing is I always get to learn something new. So, all right, guys. Well, there you have it. Wesley Doolittle. He is running for Montgomery County Sheriff. This is going to be an interesting race as it moves forward. And I want you guys to pay special attention to these candidates and get what they say and vote for the guy that has an alignment in what you're thinking about what should be going on in this county is. It's really important. The only way that we're ever going to move forward and up is if we make ourselves educated voters and don't go vote for a name or a slogan or just a mark or something like that. You got to vote for a man.
Amen. Hear, hear.
Yeah.
Harumph.
So there you go. Look forward to seeing the next one. We got a lot of stuff in the bucket, a lot of stuff coming up. And for Mark Hogan, I'm Hank Vat. This is Hank's Think Tank, and we're out.
Thank you.